Welcome back, y'all. Today I have a project that I'm super excited about. This is a ZX14 powered sport touring bike. This thing is a beast. Now, this motor is basically identical to the ZX14 with a few exceptions, and one of those being it has a VVT system on the intake cam. And if you're not familiar with what that is, it's a variable valve timing system. And it's actually on most modern cars. But the nice thing about this is, if I don't want all that extra weight on the intake cam, I can actually swap it with ZX14 cams because it's basically the exact same motor. So it's pretty sweet. I got it for $500 as y'all saw in the previous video. And there is some substantial damage, but it's not going to cost me a fortune either, which I'm thankful for. Of course, you have a lot of body damage. The left fairing, right fairing are both destroyed, obliterated, not even here. You have some serious damage on the headlight. The mounting bracket for the windscreen is also damaged. Everything but the tail section is basically ruined. And thankfully, that's not a big deal because I don't care about the cosmetics because this is going to be a custom Street Fighter and I'm super excited for this project. The stuff that I am going to have to repair is stuff like the handlebars because both of them are snapped off. I would like to repair them by welding them back together because if I have to replace them, it's like $400 or $500 for handlebars. It's ridiculous. Also, on the left side, this is really what's keeping it from running. So you got the stator hanging out of the bike. So I need a stator cover to be able to even have the motor really turn over. The radiator was destroyed. It ripped a hose off of it, so I have to replace the hose or do something else with it and replace the radiator. But those are the main things just to get this thing running again. And obviously the handlebars to be able to ride it again. So it's not a ton, but it's definitely got a long way to go. So obviously the stator cover is damaged because you can see the flywheel and the stator's hanging out. Part of the stator had an impact with the ground or something, and so that is destroyed, unfortunately. Radiator is crushed in, hose ripped off, but that is the most damage on the bike. So after I replace all that, it should run, and then once I repair the handlebars, it should be rideable. My first order of business is taking the cover off to see how much damage there is. Yikes. That is a very bent bolt. Yikes. Looks like part of the case is damaged. Somehow I missed that. That bolt was not damaged. Looks like there's a broken bolt right here. There's a broken bolt right here. And 2 bolt holes that got blown out. So I can drop the motor, weld on these 2 spots, and try to drill and re-tap these. Looks like the flywheel is even damaged partially. So I might need a new flywheel. So in conclusion, I have 1 broken bolt, 2 broken bolt, and there is the broken part of the case. This one too, right here. It got blown out. So since I found damage on the side of the motor that's going to require welding, I am actually going to have to drop the entire motor so I can put it at a good position to weld on, and I'm going to have to throw it up on the table. So that means I have to pull it completely out, which is not what I wanted to do, but to do it right, I got to do it. So I'm going to strip down everything that I don't need, and I'm going to drain the coolant and oil, and then I'll hopefully weld it up pretty quickly. Now I'm going to get a pan for the coolant. Move that over, let all the oil drain out of that. So here's a quick look of what it looks like before I tear everything down. You got like a oil catch here, something tied in right here, a bunch of drain lines. You got a hydraulic line going to slave cylinder for the clutch system. You have a throttle body idle adjustment down here that goes behind the slave cylinder. So that's pretty much it looks like. This thing off. At least it'll give me a good opportunity to clean everything really well.
So I'm going to remove these boxes, use the key, unlock it. You can pull it off like that. Pull the radiator off. Also there's a bolt on the bottom, pull the radiator. So this is the radiator fan right here, this blue and black. Break that seal. There we go. There the radiator is. Hopefully I can get that fan to bend back out. I don't know if the shaft's broken or what, but might have to get a new fan, I don't know. I'm gonna strip off the parts off this one, put it in the Ziploc bag. Gonna pull the exhaust off now. Yep. One plug, two plugs, squirted a good bit of fuel out. Take it off this engine brace or whatever. So everything is actually pretty self-contained on the motor, it looks like. I disconnected a lot of the wires off the side right here, and it looks like once I disconnect the boots for the airbox, which is actually the frame, and maybe the throttle cables, spark plugs, and maybe a few more wires like this main plug, obviously a few more things, but it looks like I'll be able to drop the motor at that point. Of course, I got to disconnect the drive line, which is going to be interesting because I've never done that before. So we'll see about that, but it's relatively simple, it looks like. Wow, I just found some more damage. This crack right here. Just found that 2 seconds ago while I was talking to y'all. So that is thankfully replaceable. So I'll swap that out if I can find one online. But thankfully I didn't go riding around with it like that. Move this piece. So this bike has so much like protective layers all over it, protecting the block and just everything. I mean, they're just everywhere. So I am actually going to be pulling all that off because I'm not putting it back on the bike. Mainly because this bike is going to be a naked bike from now on. And so I want to be able to see the engine in its entirety. I'm actually selling this to somebody for $65. And I bought the whole bike for $500, so I'm gonna sell a lot of this stuff and hopefully it pays for most of the bike itself. So I got most of everything disconnected, so now I'm gonna start moving towards the throttle body. There's actually an Allen on the outer cylinder towards the forward of the bike. Then on the inner cylinder, there's actually the Allen on the right side, so you can actually hit them both and without them interrupting each other, which is nice. I removed this caliper over here. Pull this caliper out of the way. Give this a final dry system out. So I bought this expensive jack to be able to lift my F250 transmission up into the truck. And now I'm gonna try to use it to jack this motor down and then back up after I do the repairs. So I'm actually gonna make something that mounts on the side of here. This piece is actually restricting me from putting something on here. So I'm actually over here with the plasma cutter. I'm about to notch this section out so it actually sits on it. And I used a square for this piece, and I'm gonna use that as a guide to go down and cut. So I brought the bike over to the welder so I could finish making this mount. So I put the jack completely underneath the motor. I actually made this bracket. This is actually off of, I think, my Ninja 250, part of the frame that I cut off. And so I bolted one right there, made sure it was shaved down enough to where it could sit flush against the case. And I bolted it down, and now I'm going to weld a piece in here. And then I'm gonna cut it off after the fact, but that is going to be one brace, and then I'm gonna make another brace from here up to one of these exhaust bolts. Just enough so it doesn't fall off the jack. Make sure everything's in the right place. Start lowering it down a little bit to see if it can broken loose. All right. Up here is the plugs for the stator, it looks like. So here's the broken engine mount. So here's an overview of what everything looks like. You got this plug down here that comes up to cam, maybe? Cam sensor. Then you got this one. Connects into down there. This connects right there. Man, there's a bunch of that go into the head. Don't know what all of them go to. There's this vent line to something, I don't know. We got this plug. Gonna pull all spark plugs out. The coil packs out, excuse me. That wiring harness. Gonna pull the throttle body off in a second. Don't have to take many wires with it, I think. The nice thing is these got some big plugs that all you gotta do is just, you can assemble everything up here and then put the motor in place and just plug in the large plugs, which is nice. This puppy is coming off here. I'm not putting this back on because this bike is gonna be naked, so this thing is ugly. There's this plug down here. This goes and powers, I don't even, oh, it plugs up all into the throttle body. But I am gonna disassemble everything and then throw this puppy up on the welding table over there. So much fun.
So that is actually gonna be it for this video. Next video, I'm actually gonna repair the damage on the motor. You're not gonna wanna miss that one. So y'all watch out for that video. And until next time,